What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Trey here from the Stone Disclosure, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of things going on. You're like extremely busy. You got your job, you got your kids, you got your family, you got like things that you do on the side. So I know it's very hard sometimes to be able to actually get everything done. And focusing for me has kind of been a problem. If you look at history, we have now been programmed to focus less than we were, say, like 50 to 100 years ago. So here are some tips that I had to adapt to myself so that I could be able to kind of retain focus and still progress in the things that I want to progress in. Let's do it. So first off, you got to dedicate quality time to whatever it is. And I mean quality time. So you look at that 24 hours you have in your day and find, I got to make 1, 2, or 3 hours towards putting together like whatever it is that I'm doing, whether you're using it for like cleaning, you're using it to propel your business, whatever it is. You got to find the time to dedicate to it and be honest with yourself. You got 24 hours. You can pull 1 or 2. You just got to sacrifice a couple things. Number 2, keep the task singular. Multitasking is not going to help in this case. You gotta, if you have a list of things you want to do, you got like 4, 5, 6 different things that you want to do, that's fine. Put them in a list of priority, and then you start banging them out as you go. So you're not going to jump from one thing to another thing. You're going to wait until you finish task number 1, and then you go to task number 2, and then task number 3, and so on. If you're trying to split your attention multiple different ways at once, you can't focus on anything. Number 3, place boundaries to limit your distractions. Now, this is a key one here. If you don't require your phone for the task and you find that your phone can be distracting with people calling you, you want to go on social media, you want to look up old photos, you want to have conversations with people, put your phone away. This was a problem for me because I was really attached to this thing. So I would actually, if I have something where I got to do where I'm not required to use my phone, I put my phone away. I'll put it upstairs. If I'm listening to a podcast or something, I'll put the phone away and I'll just keep my earbuds in. That way I'm not tempted to constantly go to it and check it. And all of a sudden these things become important that really weren't important to begin with. So make it difficult for you to access your phone. Make it difficult that if you got to like stay away from people, you can isolate yourself from people as best as possible. Put yourself in a room where people aren't watching TV, or people aren't on their phone, or people aren't on their computer. If you find that like seeing that will distract you, you have to make an environment that caters to you actually focusing and providing that quality time to your task. 4, keep honest with your time. This is a key one that I don't think a lot of people really understood until they actually started doing it. If you've dedicated 3 hours to that task, 3 hours, that's 180 minutes to that task. Use all 180 for that task. If you got to go use the bathroom, by all means, go do so. If you got to go take an important phone call, by all means, go do that. But if that bathroom took you 15 minutes, you're putting 15 minutes back into your task. If that phone call took you 10, you're putting 10 back into that task. That 10 minutes is not a lot for the quality time you're putting towards whatever it is that you got to do, because your focus should primarily be on that task itself. And number 5, be persistent. This one is crucial. We have trained ourselves to not have adequate focus anymore. If you look at social media, if it's longer than 8 minutes, people aren't going to watch the whole thing. I'm sure a lot of my videos that I've put out there and a lot of other content creators will tell you that attention span just isn't there anymore. So if it's longer than 5, 6 seconds, we don't care about it. We can't really focus in on it. That's why we find it hard to study. That's why we got to make whole scenarios and entire environments based on these things. And the only way you're going to get better, because it is a key factor, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, is you got to be persistent. If you fall off for 2 days, that's fine. Jump back on the wagon and be persistent for 5. You have to keep doing it because you are training your brain to rewire itself all the time. Now, I did say 5 tips, but I will give you guys one more, just a little freebie, because I like freebies myself. Try to keep your task in a certain category. Now, here's why I say this, and this is for the creatives out there, because a lot of us, you're navigating 2 different spaces. If you're doing something that requires creativity, then dedicate that time strictly to anything that requires creativity. That's why it's the difference between if somebody's making something, there's grunt work and there's fine work. The grunt work is, we got to get this pot made. We got to mold this clay. We got to pour this concrete. That's grunt work. It doesn't require a whole lot of finesse. It doesn't require a whole lot of critical thinking or creative thinking or anything like that. It's a very simple step A to step B task. And if it's something like, say, oh, I just got to make sure that the floor is vacuumed, then that's a very simple task. But if you're getting into the details of, I want to revarnish the floor, then that's a whole different thing. That's going to require a different type of focus and attention. You can't pull from one and utilize it for the other. It doesn't work that way because your brain works differently. Something that's rough or grunt work does not require a whole lot of creativity and thinking outside of the box. So your brain does not have to think that way. It can just honestly just do this task very simplistically from A to B. Whereas something creative, you're going to have to inspire that in yourself. You're going to have to find ways to create a creative environment and get your creativity flowing, which when it comes to doing grunt work will no longer be appealing to your brain because it's working at a different frequency at that point. So you got to really be diligent and separate for what you do. For myself, especially when it comes to doing any type of content creation or anything like that, I have two things that I want to do. I never edit the same day that I record. I will record something and then that is it. I will not edit it till the next day because my mind cannot go into that space. I've already used kind of this to get the information out, put the video together and all of that. That was the creative aspect of it. And though there is creativity in the editing aspect, it's a lot more cut and dry. So I'll never do them on the same day because my brain just can't function that way. And this is the same with a lot of people. It's not a knock at anybody. It's just the way we're wired. And that's just the way we work. I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys like the content, hit the nice little icon at the bottom and subscribe and try this out. Put these tips into practice. Give it a couple weeks. Feel free to drop it in the comments and let me know how it went. I really want to know. With that, guys, protect your heart.